in Arab countries, the man just doesn't want to give up its own power. They did give up in the Christian countries like the Western.
Because they're empowered by the doctrine.
And the government.
And the government,
yes,
of course, because Islam is government.
Yeah, but the government itself is the man controlled in Arab countries. There's no any women in a government. That's the problem.
And that's what Wafa's saying. If you freed up the Muslim women, then you would see a big change. Ronnie, thanks so much for the call. Wafa, before I take these other calls, I got to ask you, I see more and more in this country, young women, especially in colleges, and you see them even going to the malls nowadays, wearing the headscarf. Why would a young woman decide that this was a good religion for her?
This is a sign. This is a message for you that Islam is here. And it is, I don't believe it was their choice to cover themselves up.
Some of them will tell you that it was their choice to be.
I tell you a story. In 2003, I went to Syria with my American friend. We visited a small Syrian island. And my American friend noticed that many women in that island were covered from head to toe.
Yeah, yeah.
When she asked me a question regarding this, I turned to my guide. I told him, "Are all women in this island covered?" He said, "Except some whores."
Oh.
So women, sometimes they decide to cover themselves,
right,
to avoid being called bad names, or a whore.
Okay.
So it is not their choice. Most likely it is a decision that made out, based on some considerations.
You know, I still have to go back to the fact that, and we started off our discussion this way, you're saying our tolerance is our ignorance in this country, that we are brought up to be tolerant of all religions. Yeah. That's why America was founded. We wanted to have religious freedom. You're saying you opened the door to that. You let in Islam, and Islam is by nature going to be very extreme.
Absolutely.
You can be Muslim Arab, but not a follower of
Yeah.
Islam, and that's where we need to make the distinction.
Yeah.
How do you know? This is the problem. In America, we don't know, so we are going to be tolerant.
Yeah, I'm trying to define the problem, but the solution, I don't know the solution. I believe each of us has to find or has to work on the solution. I really don't know. I don't have...
You're just saying, this is the way it is. I'm laying it out there for you.
This is the way it is, and you need to find a solution.
Let's take George in Providence next on 920 WHAJ. Good morning, George.
Hi, I love the professor. I got turned on to one of her videos at YouTube when she was arguing and explaining to a cleric, the difference between, it's a popular video. It's out there.
Yeah, she's a smart, brave woman, that's for sure.
And one thing I wanted to ask her, the danger that this president poses to this country by pacifying Muslims, extremists here, and I think I wanted to answer that question in the context, like, do you believe that he has Muslim roots and that deep down inside he's creating an environment that's going to be dangerous to this country?
I think what he's, if I can paraphrase, George, by this president being tolerant, and even at West Point the other night saying Islam, one of the great religions of the world, is that somehow, how is that heard in the Muslim countries? Is that heard as almost, that this president is on board? Do they view our president as a Muslim, or do they view our president as an American citizen?
I believe they perceive him as a divine sign that we are taking over, regardless if he's really a true Muslim or not.
So it doesn't matter what he is or what he practices. It's how they perceive him.
I mentioned his middle name
in
my
Hussein,
book.
Right.
Hussein, just the name, I believe, for them. It is not Mr. Obama's problem, but it is the way in the Middle East or in the Arab world.
I'm put in a strange position here by defending the president.
I believe they perceive his middle name as a sign.
So the fact that the name is Hussein, that is a sign to them that Allah somehow has a foothold in America.
Them. Yeah, of course.
It's helping them
in the White House, not only in America.
In the White House, the most powerful position in the world.
Exactly.
But I've like I said, strange position for me, but I have to defend the president here. Does his speech announcing he's taking a troop surge into Afghanistan, does that do anything to...
You know, I don't like to be involved in politics because simply I don't know much about it.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we don't know how that's perceived in the Arab world.
Okay.
All right. Let me grab Jeanette in North Attleboro next on 920 WHJJ. Good morning, Jeanette.
Good morning, Helen, and thank you, Helen, and your guest for this show, because I believe your shows like yours, that your guest has given us an education of just about the Sharia law, and I believe that what she said about the world domination, the one world religion, I believe that she's happy to be in America because we believe in freedom of religion versus the Islamic religion, which is control over the one religion in the whole world. And I believe that our way of life is just that: life, liberty, and goodness versus death, evil, and control. And I'm so happy that your show is on, Helen, because if more Muslims, like she said, Muslims that don't realize how dangerous the religion, the Islamic religion, the evilness of it, because they don't want life. They love death more than life.
Jeanette, thanks so much for your words, and that's a very good segue here. I want to ask Wafa. We only have a few more minutes here. I just wanted to ask real quick, Wafa. Jeanette makes a good point. The Muslims that aren't practicing Islam right now, why aren't a lot of them standing up and saying, this is crazy? What are they doing in the name of religion? Why is it? I mean, you're speaking out. There's a few other people speaking out, but very few. We don't usually hear a lot of people speaking out and saying, what in the world? This is in the name of religion?
I believe for maybe either one of two reasons. One, because most of them, as I said before, are not familiar with the true.
They just haven't looked into the Quran, okay, and the teachings.
Some of them may be out of fear. They don't want to speak up.
Okay.
Like from my experience, I can
even in this country they would be in fear?
Of course. I live in fear.
In this country?
Prior to my book release, I had to move from one location to another.
Wow.
And every
even in America?
Even in America, every few months, I have to leave to a different location. So it's not easy. You have to be ready mentally and psychologically, emotionally to do it. It is very draining. It's not easy. So I defend some of them that they're not strong enough to speak up.
I tell you, I've really enjoyed our discussion today. The book is called A God Who Hates. It is. It's not a complicated read, and it's not a long read. It's an education, that's for sure. I urge everybody to look into this. A God Who Hates: The Courageous Woman Who Inflamed the Muslim World Speaks Out Against the Evils of Islam by Dr. Wafa Sultan. Dr. Sultan, thanks so much for being our guest today on the Helen Glover Show. I really appreciate that.
It is my pleasure. Thank you so much.